Now you see me, now you don't. This is the brand new Galaxy S26 Ultra highlight and we absolutely love it. But is that enough to pick it over the iPhone 17 Pro Max or the Google Pixel 10 Pro XL? Well, there are other pretty interesting details you need to catch before we give our verdict. Without further ado, let's slide into the design, display, battery performance, and cameras of these flagship phones. Hey, I'm Olive, your host here at Versus.com, and thanks to UGREEN for sponsoring this video. And remember, you can join our community by hitting the join button below for exclusive videos and perks. And here's a shout out to Eddie and Leslie for becoming Ultra members. It might not look like the new S26 Ultra has changed much, but there are some big updates, like that new camera island inspired by the S25 Edge and this fresh sky blue finish. Other tweaks are more subtle, like the rounder corners compared to the S25 Ultra. Also, after spending some time with it, we noticed 3 things. It's not the fingerprint magnet the S25 was, though that might just be this color. It wobbles like crazy when flat on a table, and you can now only slide the S Pen in one way, otherwise it awkwardly pokes out. The iPhone has a much rounder design with those curved corners and edges, plus a massive camera bump on the back and punchy soda orange that will make sure everybody knows you're carrying the latest iPhone. The Pixel keeps it classy with its signature search bar camera visor and some nice contrast between the materials. Speaking of materials, the Galaxy casually followed Apple's lead and ditched the titanium, so you will find aluminium on all 3 of these. Matte on the Galaxy and iPhone, and polished on the Pixel. For the back, we have got Gorilla Glass Victus 2 on the Galaxy and the Pixel, and Ceramic Shield on the iPhone. Weight-wise, the Galaxy is actually the lightest of the bunch, tipping the scales at 7.5 ounces. And for protection, all 3 are rated IP68, so they're dust tight and a quick dip in fresh water shouldn't be an issue. But let's move on to the displays, where you know the Galaxy is going to shine, at least if you're looking at it head on. The Galaxy features a massive 6.9-inch LTPO AMOLED display. The iPhone also lands at 6.9 inches with LTPO OLED, while the Pixel is an ever so slightly smaller 6.8-inch LTPO OLED. All 3 panels support a 120Hz refresh rate, but only the Galaxy and the iPhone come with an anti-reflective coating to cut down on glare. In our typical high brightness test, where we simulate direct sunlight at over 100,000 lux, the Pixel hit an impressive 2,321 nits, but for peak brightness, the Galaxy absolutely skyrocketed to an incredible 3,955 nits. For biometric security, you've got ultrasonic under-display fingerprint scanners on the Galaxy and Pixel, and Face ID on the iPhone. There's also a face unlock option on the Galaxy and the Pixel, which is a really nice bonus, but it will struggle significantly in low-light environments. Now feel free to pause the video right here if you want to check out the full screen specs. You probably saw this coming, but the Galaxy's display is hands down the best of the 3. It leads the pack in resolution, pixel density, and brightness. Plus, its anti-reflective coating is noticeably superior to the iPhone's. And that new privacy display, that's the kind of hardware innovation we love to see. You can toggle between 2 levels, a standard mode and an improved mode for maximum privacy if your last name happens to be Bond. You can even automate it to kick in for specific apps when you're typing pins or just to cover your notification pop-ups. Just keep in mind that with privacy mode active, high brightness drops to a tested 804 nits and peak brightness hits 1,606. But that's a fair trade-off for keeping prying eyes off your weird TikTok recommendations. So with that highlight covered, now let's play some beats. All 3 of these phones come equipped with a solid set of stereo speakers, and here's how they sound.
I'm a little too into you. Got my head over my shoes, but I like it. I'm a little too into you. Got me up over the moon, but I like it. I'm counting colors in your eyes. I'm losing track of all my time. It's like I'm high.
We really took our time testing these three here in the studio because they're all just so good. But if we absolutely have to pick a winner, we'd probably have to go with the Galaxy. The iPhone is a bit clearer, but the volume is lower, while the Pixel lacks a bit of bass compared to the other two. But again, all three are top notch. By the way, our YouTube stats are telling us that some of you are loving the reviews, but you haven't hit that subscribe button yet. So if you are enjoying what you see, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And if you want to check out any of these phones out for yourself by the end of the video, we have put direct links for you in the description below. Now let's talk cameras. Just a heads up, this will be more of a technical overview. If you want to see our full-blown camera comparison, you can find that video right over here. And you should definitely check it out because things get pretty interesting. So for the main sensors, we've got a 200 megapixel shooter on the Galaxy, 48 megapixels on the iPhone, and 50 megapixels on the Pixel. The Galaxy now sports a new lens with a much wider f1.4 aperture compared to the f1.7 on the S25 Ultra, making it the widest of the three. Sensor sizes stay the same though, with the iPhone still rocking the biggest one. One big update here, you can now capture 24 megapixel photos on the Galaxy after turning the option on in Camera Assist. Additionally, you can also shoot at 12, 50, or 200 megapixels, which finally puts it on a similar level playing field with the iPhone, which is capable of shooting in either 12, 24, or 48 megapixels. The Pixel, meanwhile, only supports 12 or 50 megapixel shots. On the Galaxy, you also have Expert RAW for pro-level features like the virtual reflector to simulate bouncing light, or an ND filter mode for daytime long exposures, similar to the Pixel's Action Pan and long exposure modes. Just remember that you will need to download Expert RAW separately since it's not pre-installed. And if you're a photo aficionado, all three phones let you shoot in RAW for deeper post-processing.
Oops, looks like I might have gone a little overboard taking photos of my cat Ocho.
Let me just offload these to my local storage real quick. This, by the way, is my UGREEN NAS, which is essentially my own private cloud. This magic box right here can hold up to a massive 120 terabytes, making it the perfect home for all of my Ocho content, family memories, 4K projects, and important backups. The best part, unlike an old school portable drive, I can access this from absolutely anywhere, anytime. And because it's packed with advanced encryption, a built-in firewall, and two-factor authentication, my data stays mine.
Even UGREEN can't see what's on here.
With smart recognition and AI album sorting, all of Ocho's photos are automatically organized, so I don't have to go through a million files. Plus, if I want to share an album, it's as easy as sending a secure link or a QR code to whoever I choose. This UGREEN NAS is not only for storage though, it's also your very own personal cinema, allowing you to either stream 4K HDR videos straight into your Apple TV or Android TV or via HDMI. And setup is a breeze too, just slide in the drive trays and tap the NFC tag to link it to your account. Done. Look, everyone is pushing cloud subscriptions these days, but for $399, your UGREEN NAS will pay itself in just 3 months. Considering a 30 terabyte plan on Google One would set you back nearly $1,800 per year. So go check the links in the description to grab your own UGREEN NAS DH4300 Plus and make your data really yours.
Now that Ocho is backed up and secure, let's get back to those camera samples.
For the ultra-wide specs, the S26 Ultra setup is identical to the S25 Ultra. We're looking at a 50 megapixel shooter, while the iPhone and the Pixel both use 48 megapixel sensors, aperture and field of view, but sensor sizes are pretty much a wash across the board. When it comes to zoom, the Galaxy sticks with its dual setup, a 10 megapixel telephoto with 3x optical zoom and a 50 megapixel telephoto with 5x optical zoom. The former unfortunately saw its sensor shrink, while the latter actually got an upgrade with a wider aperture compared to last year. Both the iPhone and the Pixel pack 48 megapixel sensors with similar apertures and sensor sizes, though the iPhone hits 4x optical while the Pixel reaches 5x. Regarding that 5x lens on the Galaxy, Samsung swapped the old periscope for an ALOP lens, which stands for All Lens on Prism. This shrinks the module size while delivering more natural bokeh. That's why the lens is round now instead of rectangular. Shooting video on the main cams, the Galaxy can hit 8K at 30 FPS, while the iPhone prioritizes frame rate with 4K at 120 FPS. The Pixel trails slightly with 4K at 60 FPS on device, though it can deliver 8K 30 FPS via video boost. But keep in mind that's processed in the cloud, not on the device. Two new features for videographers on the Galaxy is compatibility with APV codec for visually lossless quality, plus the ability to natively write to an external storage. For ultra-wide video, the Galaxy still tops out at 8K 30 FPS, while the iPhone and the Pixel are capped at 4K 60 FPS. Samsung also added some new video tricks, most notably Horizon Lock, which is an extreme level of stabilization that keeps the horizon leveled even if you flip the phone upside down. It's a great addition, though to be fair, Motorola actually did this first back on the Edge 2023. Up front, we have a 12-megapixel shooter on the Galaxy, an 18-megapixel sensor on the iPhone with that unique shape-shifting square sensor, and the Pixel winning the megapixel war with 42 megapixels. Video resolution is a tie here, with all three topping out at 4K 60 FPS, so all three will deliver great resolution for whatever is trending on TikTok right now. But again, if you want to see our analysis on how these perform in the real world, go check out our full camera comparison on our channel. And now it's time to hit the racetrack. Under the hood, the Galaxy rocks the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 for Galaxy, which features 2 overclocked prime cores compared to the standard version. The iPhone packs Apple's A19 Pro SoC, and the Pixel runs on Google's Tensor G5 chipset. For RAM, you can get the Galaxy in either 12 or 16 gigs. The iPhone stays at 12 gigs, while the Pixel comes with 16, though reportedly about 3 gigabytes of that is reserved for AI at all times. Here's a quick breakdown of the storage speeds and USB standards. But to see what these phones can actually do, we put them through some real-world testing, starting with gaming. We ran 15-minute sessions with cooldown pit stops in between. First up, Grid Legends, a AAA console port. And yeah, the Pixel's Tensor chipset still can't run this at all. On the flip side, both the iPhone and the Galaxy hit up to 40 FPS, though the Galaxy dipped to 33, while the iPhone stayed rock solid. However, the Galaxy handled the heat much better. Next was Wuthering Waves at max settings. All three hit 60 FPS, but the Galaxy and the iPhone were impressively consistent throughout. The Pixel not only dropped the most frames, but also hit the highest temps. Moving over to productivity, we exported 99 photos in Lightroom. The iPhone crossed the finish line first in just under 3 minutes, followed closely by the Galaxy. The Pixel, well, it took its sweet time. Then we rendered a 1-minute 4K 30 FPS video in CapCut. Everyone finished in under a minute here, but the Galaxy proved to be a worthy rival to Lightning McQueen. Now, benchmarks don't always tell the whole story, but they are good to give you an idea of the very top performance. In Geekbench 6, the iPhone took the top spot for single-core performance, but the Galaxy was right on its heels and actually crushed it in multi-core with over 10,000 points. In 3D Mark's Wildlife Extreme Stress Test, the Galaxy showed incredible burst performance, but the iPhone delivered a better lowest loop score after 20 minutes, meaning better sustained stability. The Pixel didn't even manage to reach the Galaxy's lowest loop score. As for Antutu, scores are OS dependent, so we can't compare iOS to Android, but between the two Androids, the Galaxy more than doubled the Tensor score. So altogether, the Galaxy and its Snapdragon chip are finally giving the iPhone a real run for its money. They're both at the top of the food chain, and you really can't go wrong with either. Two things are crystal clear though. First, despite Apple claiming the downgrade to aluminium on the iPhone was for improved thermals, the Galaxy still handles heat way better, likely thanks to that improved vapor chamber. And two, the Pixel has no business competing in raw power. It underperforms in basically every test. But where the Pixel shines isn't the hardware, it's the software. The Galaxy comes preloaded with One UI 8.5 and the Pixel runs Pixel UI with the latest March feature drop, both built on Android 16. Meanwhile, the iPhone is currently running iOS 26.3.1. Samsung and Google are promising 7 years of support for their flagships. Apple doesn't give an official number, but they usually hit that 7-year mark too. One UI 8.5 brings some handy updates, like finally being able to resize and reorganize your quick settings. We still have lots of Galaxy AI features like text composing, photo editing, and article summaries, along with the new Now Nudge, which suggests info based on what's on your screen. But the highlight is the new Bixby. It's finally dusted itself off and is now backed by Perplexity. Plus, it gives you the benefit of changing device settings using nothing but natural language. Oh, and don't worry, Samsung DeX is still here for a full desktop experience. iOS 26 was a massive visual overhaul with the new liquid glass design, but we also got deeper personalization and a more useful Apple Intelligence. Though to be honest, it still feels a bit like an afterthought since the system basically just hands off most of your questions to Google or ChatGPT anyway. And on top of this, it will reportedly get completely replaced by Google's Gemini. Then there's the Pixel with its funky UI and playful animations. It's more straightforward than the Galaxy, which tends to include everything but the kitchen sink. On the Pixel, you get gems like Now Playing for passive music recognition, call screening, and a new full desktop interface. Plus, you can finally vanish that at-a-glance widget. AI is the heart of this phone. We're talking app icon generation, Magic Queue, Pixel screenshots, and Pixel Studio, just to name a few. While Gemini and Circle to Search are also on the Galaxy, the Pixel always gets the latest Android features first, making it for us the best in terms of software. But now let's move on to our last category.
Watch out, I'ma kick back when you fake like.
The Galaxy is still rocking the same 5,000 mAh battery capacity that the S20 featured 6 years ago. That is more than you'll find in the physical SIM iPhone, but falls a bit short of the Pixel. However, we finally got a bump in wired speeds with Samsung's super fast charging 3.0, which supports up to 60 watts. As for wireless charging, all three phones now top out at an equal 25 watts when using magnetic chargers, which the iPhone and the Pixel both support without needing a magnetic case. In our new exhaustive battery drain test, we calibrated all phones to 500 nits and turned all battery-saving features off. We ran a 9-app loop, starting with an hour of Instagram scrolling, assisted by our awesome Versus bot. After that, we hit 30 minutes of 4K video recording, then an hour of web browsing, 1 hour of Google Maps navigation, followed by an hour of Subway Surfers. Next, another hour of YouTube streaming, an hour of music streaming, and an hour of video calling. Finally, another half hour of video recording and one last hour of Temple Run. The first one to say au revoir was the Pixel, lasting 8 hours and 45 minutes. Next was the Galaxy, which held on for 10 hours and 48 minutes. But the last man standing was the iPhone, clocking in at almost 13 hours. In our charging test using a 100 watts brick, those improved speeds really showed up, getting the Galaxy ready to go in an impressive 46 minutes. Meanwhile, the iPhone and the Pixel both took exactly 1 hour and 26 minutes to hit 100%. The iPhone, however, pulled more wattage than the Pixel. Before you clicked on this video, you probably expected some eye-watering prices at some point. And well, here we are. The new Galaxy S26 Ultra will set you back a hefty $1,299, which, to be fair, is unchanged from the S25 Ultra. However, that's still $100 more than the iPhone, which sits at $1,199. That's also the full retail price for the Pixel. You might think a $100 difference isn't such a huge deal, but hey, that could easily buy you about 50 cans of Monster Energy. But the truth is, Samsung usually runs crazy promos, so if you just wait a bit, you'll definitely see some discounts. On the other hand, it's basically impossible to buy the Pixel at full price because it is always on sale. Right now, it's going for $949, and a $350 discount compared to the Galaxy is pretty hard to ignore. So So with the S26 Ultra, you're getting small but key improvements, like that unique privacy display and performance that rivals the iPhones while offering much better heat management. Its software is deeper than iOS, though many of those AI tricks, other than the new Bixby, also live on the Pixel 2. It's easy to criticize Samsung for playing it safe with small incremental upgrades, but since those spec-heavy Chinese flagships aren't a real threat in the West yet, their slow and steady strategy makes sense. Still, we would love to see more of that mad scientist Samsung that gave us the privacy display. So if you can wait for a discount, we think that the S26 Ultra can be a much better all-around deal than the iPhone 17 Pro Max. That said, if you absolutely need the best raw camera quality, pro-level apps, and ecosystem compatibility, the iPhone is still the way to go. The Pixel is a different story. Google is clearly all in on software, and it really does shine there. But even with those deep discounts, we'd love to see either a massive leap in performance or a permanent price cut. Now make sure to check out our camera comparison we mentioned earlier, because Google might need to put in some extra work there too. And before you go watch Pocopia gameplays, don't forget to give us a big thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, and hit subscribe because we're always testing the latest tech to help you make the best choice. We'll see you in our next video, and until then, take care.